Hello, everybody. Welcome to She Scores. Guys, the Women's World Cup is finally done. Amazing final. It was kind of like reminiscent to 2010 when men's Spain team won the World Cup 1-0. I kind of like felt the same way when I saw the women's Spain team. They won 1-0. I think it was a great game. I think the whole World Cup was awesome. The parity level was amazing. We have never seen this level of parity level before. And Spain was the second nation, my bad, to where the men's and the women's team have won the World Cup. So it's Spain and Germany. So it's awesome. Lauren, let's get started with you. What was your standout to this World Cup? Because you've been a great addition to our team, and it's been awesome. This whole coverage of World Cup has been great. And give us your thoughts.
Well, thank you. I mean, I just thought it was incredible football to watch. The teams in the finals and semifinals just really gave it their all and gave us some beautiful soccer. I mean, I've been kind of low key rooting for the Lionesses after the U.S. team, and they made it all the way to the finals. I was just really impressed with them. Their coach Serena Wigman is like, most people are saying she's the best women's coach in the world, and I think she's incredible. But Spain, man, they really proved that they deserved the finish that they got. And even personally for me, I had the luxury of actually studying abroad in Spain for a couple months when the men's team won the 2010 World Cup. And that was just an experience of a lifetime, really. And to see it repeated with the women, I mean, I've already fallen in love with Spain soccer in general, or football. But
I think it's funny. Special. It's funny. Sorry. So they're kind of like replicating what the men's team did, like in that era of like Spanish. Like I don't know. It was great. I think they're kind of redoing the same, and some of the stars are amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And that kind of really brings this home is actually while I was there, I was at a bar and a guy from England, a young guy, he was studying at Oxford. He started chatting me up. We were chit-chatting. Turned out he found out that I play soccer, and he was absolutely flabbergasted. He just didn't believe me. He was like, no way, like women just don't play soccer, or they don't play soccer in England. You seem like a girly girl, like it just doesn't make sense. So finally, once we started talking, he came to believe me. But that was in 2010, 13 years ago. So when I think about these women outside of the US and with, maybe a few other countries as an exception, England is a very well-developed country. This isn't like somewhere on the outskirts. Like to think that this program is so young and they've achieved so much in a short time is really, really remarkable. And those girls that are on these national teams or even professional leagues and whatnot, they grew up where there weren't women's or girls rather like teams and programs. These girls on the national team, they played with the boys and they were like going against the grain. I remember when I was a child, I had to start on a boys team as well, or, co-ed rather. And it wasn't until really I was closer to middle school when I could try out for an all girls team. But nowadays the girls on our US team had more of that luxury to, play with girls. So I just think it's incredible looking at all that and taking that into consideration.
That's awesome. And honestly, like, I think England, Spain, and Europe as such, like women's soccer was like a sleeping giant. And once the US started winning, they're like, okay, we have like amazing facilities, amazing men's team. All we have to do is pay the best soccer players and they're going to be there. And that's why like the women's EPL they just signed like a record breaking media deals. I think they're putting in money. England's getting great. Europe as such is getting great. Millsy, what was your top takeaway from the World Cup?
Yeah, pretty much you guys touched on it all. Just seeing the growth of this game, largely in part to like the talent. Because I said the talent's always been there. They just needed, like I said, the opportunity, and like I said, the facilities were there. So like I said, Tottenham was there, Man City was there, and also just seeing how it's becoming much more worldwide, and how the EPL is actually starting to mirror, the men's EPL. How how the women's Bundesliga is starting to mirror the men's Bundesliga and stuff like that, and seeing the level, the technical brilliance of these ladies, and just getting rid of that stereotype that women can't play this game. It's so beautiful, and just like we saw, the Spain women play the tiki-taka style just as great as the men do, and they completely dismantle that English defense, and they just look like they had no clue what to do.
Yep. Lauren, give me one player who stood out to you, young talent, who you're excited to see for the next 5-10 years.
Okay, if I have to choose just one, I gotta stick with Lauren James. She didn't get
Yes.
a full opportunity, unfortunately, due to her
Yeah.
being sidelined for 2 games, and then like the coach didn't want to like disrupt what they had going well for them, so then she really got only about a half of the game in the finals. But I'm like, mark my words, just give her a chance. This girl, I have not seen anyone actually produce such an incredible ball control. And her power and her strength and her sensibility, she just like really sparkles. So
Yes.
she lights me up. But I'm
Yep.
also low key rooting to see a little bit more from Rodman, because that last game the US had, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know.
And I agree with Lauren James. I think she has like she's pretty charismatic too on the field. So I think
Yeah.
she's going to be a character. Milty, who is the one player that stood out to you or you're excited to see?
Who I was very excited to see, but unfortunately she was injured a bit earlier and we couldn't see her, was Selma Basha for the French team
French
because
team, yeah.
yeah, from the French team. As you saw, like the French attack was pretty good. They were scoring goals, but they got stagnant at some points, and especially when they drew that game. But when she was healthy and got back on that left wing, like the speed increased, the possession got better, and when she was on the ball, like no one could really touch her. Only, like, I would say Colombia's Linda Caicedo was better on the ball than Selma Basha, and like she was able to get Luz Samer and Katie Datu Diani. They would get her the ball in great spots, because as soon as she came back, she had 2 assists that first game back after that left hamstring strain. And yeah, I'm really excited to see her. And also the 19-year-old Paralelo for Spain, because she started on the bench
Changed
for
the
Spain.
speed of the game, yeah.
As soon as she got in, that Spanish attack hit a whole nother gear, because she spent her life as a track athlete, she was a
She
100.
she represented Spain for the
Yeah.
Olympics too, so or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Like
Her innate athleticism and speed, and her along, and she's just scratching the surface of her technical brilliance as well too.
Yeah.
And she's relatively tall, so she just
Yeah.
completely changed the dynamic for that Spanish attack.
Yes, a lot of good players got missed with injuries, like we talked about it pre-World Cup. So many injuries, like ACLs, like ravaged the women's soccer world. The player who stood out to me, who actually got advantage because of an ACL injury, is the midfielder from Spain, Teresa Abelera. She's a 23-year-old Real Madrid player. So she was playing off position. She typically plays number 8, but for the World Cup, since Patricia Gutierrez, who was their starting central midfielder, got injured and she missed the World Cup due to an ACL. So Teresa jumped in, and she was low-key the best player for Spain. She had 2 goals, and I think the one bad game, I think like the entire Spain team got knocked out by Japan 4-0. I think that was like a wake-up call, and like she rallied the whole team. She's only 23 years old. I'm super excited to see her. And I think we have to mention the whole Barcelona team. I think everyone who played for Barcelona played really well in this World Cup. I think that's like, they're like a next star team. I think they're going to be like the Messi Barcelona next, I guess.
I don't disagree. I think also the fact that they had already gelled together, because there were so many of them on Barcelona, that really played to their favor. You could just see they knew each other, like boom, boom, their touches.
Wasn't there like 8? Wasn't there like 8
Yeah.
players, 8 Barcelona players on the Spanish roster?
Yeah.
I believe that's
that,
right.
that was the same. That was the same in 2010. Like it was like 8 players from Barcelona, 3. I think I just felt like it was so similar to the 2010 World Cup, where they start slow, they lose games, and then it was just so similar. I hope they continue this run. Lauren, do you think the parity this year was awesome? Do you think it's going to grow? It's going to remain the same? Like you played women's soccer and you're seeing the growth in women's soccer. What would, like, given you can't predict, but like, what's your vision looking like for women's soccer?
I believe it'll continue to grow. And I actually think that's much a credit to the U.S. program. A lot of criticism has been given to them this year, but we have to remember they've given the world a gift and really set up a bar. And, it's hard to be your best every year, just out of philosophically, it's impossible to just keep beating a certain superlative. And it's a good learning and growing phase for us. But in terms of the parity and the opportunity to level up together and create more and more competition, it's so exciting. I also, think about even China, like that really iconic moment with Brandy Chastain. I believe that was is that 1999.
Yep.
That was against China. That country fallen off the map with women's soccer, and I mean, I hope to see them rebuild as well. But just thinking about the early players in this game, a lot has changed and a lot has evolved, and like you said, the infrastructure of these European leagues and things like that have influenced the current status. So it's just so fun to see.
Yep. And I think the women's soccer has exponentially grown probably starting 2018 since the last World Cup. So I think it's just going to keep growing. And kind of like the irony is they still don't have like a host for the next World Cup. So we'll see. I think 2027 is not confirmed yet, but there are like 4 countries who are like bidding on it. I think Belgium, Germany, and Netherlands want to do it together. South Africa, Brazil, and of course US want to host it again. I think it's going to be interesting how, but I think it's going to be great. I feel the biggest loser, guys, in my opinion, is going to be NWSL. The women's league in the US is going to get a big hit because all these massive teams in Europe are going to get Rodman. They're going to get Kristen Press. They're going to get all the young players. And it's going to, I don't know. I'm kind of like disappointed. I think it's going to happen, but I don't know.
I'm going to remain optimistic, but I can understand where you're coming from. I think the men in the US have such a battle with American football, baseball, basketball. I mean, women play softball and basketball, but there is just a lot more opportunity for women in sports to gravitate to soccer. It's more open. I'm hoping that continues to drive women's sport and football forward. But I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. Milty, question for you. Do you know when the women's leagues are starting this year?
I think the NWSL has already got back because
I'm talking about the European leagues like EPL, like WEPL and La Liga and the Women's Bundesliga.
I do not. I do not.
Yeah, I think the interest level is going to go higher and higher.
Yeah,
people are going to watch as long as they don't like tie up the game with the same days as men. I think there'll be more. Maybe they can plan it like Friday, Saturday instead of a Saturday, Sunday, because EPL on Saturdays just take the whole day. Like it's tough for me, like personally, to not watch Man United if they're in prime time. So yeah. Well,
there will be
one. Go ahead, Milty.
There is one consistent. The mighty Man City is going to be a top one again because they have the Jamaican striker Khadijah Shaw. Okay, they're always going to be a problem.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Barcelona are going to be unstoppable for the next 2 to 3 years.
Oh God, yes. Oh yeah. They're the next. They're the next.
Guys, let's do another show in like a month or so and kind of like cover like the women's side of the leagues in Europe, and again, of course, NWSL. And the U.S. coach resigned, so we might have a U.S. women's national team would have a new coach, and probably a couple of retirements are coming up. Megan Rapinoe announced before the World Cup, but there are going to be other handful of retirements coming up. So I think the U.S. women's national team is going to get like a fresh look. Players are going to come back from injury, so I think it's going to be a great time. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Lauren.